Hey there, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Imagine you're going through a jar of old pennies that have been sitting in your drawer for years. You pick one up, give it a little rub, and you think, just another penny, right? But what if I told you that one of those pennies, maybe even the one you have right now, could be worth a small fortune? Sounds too good to be true? Well, grab a seat, because today we're talking about the 2016 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, a coin that has some serious cash potential. Spoiler alert, it could be worth millions. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might just be digging through your pocket change like a pro. Let's get into it. So, you've probably seen a penny or two in your lifetime, and unless you've been living under a rock, you've definitely seen one with Abraham Lincoln's face on it. It's practically America's most famous penny, right? But what makes the 2016 D Mint Mark penny so special? First things first, let's talk about the 2016 penny itself. Nothing about the design really screams rare at first glance. It's your typical Lincoln penny with his famous portrait on one side and the shield on the other. But here's the twist, the D Mint Mark. That little D is crucial. You see, the 2016 D pennies were minted in Denver, and here's where things get interesting. In 2016, the U.S. Mint accidentally created a few rare errors during production. This resulted in a number of pennies that have unique characteristics that make them valuable to collectors. We're talking about minting errors like double dies and misplaced or smudge mint marks. Now, these errors are where the magic happens. A coin that was once worth just 1 cent could suddenly be worth thousands or even millions, depending on its rarity and condition. Let's put this in perspective. Imagine walking around your neighborhood, flipping through your pocket change, and you find a 2016 D penny that's been in circulation for years. You think it's just another old penny, but guess what? It's actually a rare error coin. In good condition, that penny could be worth $10,000, $50,000, or more. And if it's one of those super rare error pennies in mint condition, the value could skyrocket to $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. A penny that costs a penny could potentially be worth $1 million. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a pretty wild thought. Let me share a quick story. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my grandfather's old coin collection, just expecting to find a bunch of regular coins. And there it was, a shiny, worn 1999 penny with a strange mark on it. I thought, it's probably just damage, right? But something told me to check it out. So, I did a little research and, surprise, it was actually a rare variety with a significant minting error. Long story short, that ordinary penny turned out to be worth more than 10 times its face value. That's when I knew, never underestimate the power of a penny, especially if it's got a little history behind it. Now, I bet you're thinking, how do I spot one of these valuable 2016 D Mint Mark pennies? Great question. The first thing you'll want to do is check the mint mark on the back of the coin. If it's a D, it's already a step in the right direction. But don't stop there. Inspect the coin for any signs of a minting error. If you notice anything unusual, like doubling of the numbers or the words on the coin, hold on to it. Those errors are what make it valuable. Also, condition matters. Coins in mint condition, meaning they look almost brand new, are worth a lot more than those that have been circulating in change for years. So if you find a 2016 D penny that's barely even got a scratch on it, you might just have a real gem on your hands. To wrap it all up, the 2016 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny is far from ordinary. With a little knowledge and some careful inspection, you could be sitting on a potential goldmine of rare coins. So, the next time you're digging through that pile of loose change in your drawer or wallet, take a second look. You never know when you'll find the next $1 million penny hiding in plain sight. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more tips on coins worth money, strategies for spotting valuable finds, and all things coin collecting. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on the next big coin discovery. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep your eyes peeled, because the next coin you find could be worth more than you think. Have you ever found a coin sitting in your pocket change and thought, I wonder if this is worth anything? Well, today we're talking about one coin that might just have you rethinking your change jar, the 1972 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Yes, you heard that right. A penny that could be worth millions. So grab your magnifying glass, because we're about to dive into why this tiny piece of copper might be the treasure you didn't know you were sitting on. Okay, let's break this down. The 1972 penny. At first glance, just another regular penny, right? Well, maybe not. See, most pennies minted in the United States have a mint mark that tells you where they were made. The D means they were minted in Denver, the S stands for San Francisco, and the good old P for Philadelphia. But in 1972, there were a small number of pennies that were missing that mint mark. No D, no S, just a plain, bare penny. And that, my friends, is what gets collectors' hearts racing. You're probably thinking, so what? It's just a missing letter. Well, this tiny error, or variety, makes the coin rare, and rare coins mean big money. A 1972 penny without a mint mark is one of those happy accidents that collectors salivate over. Why? Because there are only a few hundred of these mysterious mintless pennies out there. And when you have a coin that rare, the value skyrockets. Now, let's talk about the big bucks. A regular 1972 penny? It's worth about a cent. Shocker, right? But a 1972 penny with no mint mark? That's a different story. It can fetch anywhere from a few $100s for one in average condition to upwards of $1 million if it's in top-notch shape. I know, $1 million for a penny? Sounds like a scam, but trust me, it's real. Some of these no-mint mark pennies have been auctioned off for ridiculous prices, with a few going for over $1 million. But here's the kicker. Finding one of these elusive pennies isn't easy. They're rare, but they're out there. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. Only this needle could change your life. Let me share a quick story. A few years ago, I was at a family gathering, and my uncle, who collects coins as a hobby, was going through a box of old pennies he'd saved over the years. He was telling everyone how he had an old penny collection from the 70s, and I was half listening. You know how it goes. I was busy stuffing my face with chips. Anyway, suddenly, he yells, "Holy cow! Look at this one." Turns out, he had a 1972 penny with no mint mark. My jaw dropped. I thought, this thing could be worth a fortune. Well, it wasn't the rare one, but imagine if it was. That moment really opened my eyes to how much hidden treasure is out there, even in the tiniest of coins. So, how do you know if your 1972 penny is worth anything? You'll want to check for that missing mint mark first. If you don't see a D or an S under Abraham Lincoln's bust, then you might have yourself a gem. But don't just stop there. Condition is key. A coin in perfect condition, think shiny, no visible wear or scratches, is worth way more than one that's seen better days. If your penny looks like it's been through a battle, don't expect to retire on it, but it still might be worth something. And listen, if you're serious about finding valuable coins, you need to start paying attention to the small stuff. I'm not saying you should go through every penny you come across, but if you find one, don't just toss it aside. It could be worth more than you think. So, to wrap it all up, the 1972 no mint mark penny is one of those rare finds that can turn your ordinary coin collection into a gold mine. If you happen to have one of these rare pennies sitting in your drawer or a jar somewhere, you could be holding on to a little piece of history that's worth a pretty penny. Pun intended. If you're like me and love the idea of finding hidden treasures, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll be sharing more tips on valuable coins, rare finds, and strategies to turn your hobby into something that could really pay off. Don't miss out. Who knows, your next penny might just be worth $1 million. Hey, coin collectors and curious treasure hunters. If you've got a penny sitting in your drawer from 1980, you might want to stop everything and grab it right now. No, seriously. I'm not kidding. You could be sitting on a small fortune. In fact, one specific 1980 penny, yes, that little copper coin you probably never think twice about, could be worth $1 million. Yep, you heard that right, $1 million. Stick with me for the next few minutes as we dive into the incredible world of the 1980 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny and what makes it such a hidden gem. So, let's set the stage. The year is 1980. Big hair, neon clothes, and the rise of the Rubik's Cube. But in the world of coin collecting, something interesting is going on behind the scenes. The US Mint was busy making pennies, as they always do. However, some of these coins, when struck, didn't end up with the mint mark you would normally expect on the reverse. No D for Denver, no S for San Francisco. Just nothing. It's like the coin equivalent of someone showing up to a party without an invitation. Now, let me tell you a little secret. Coins with no mint mark from 1980 are extremely rare and valuable. In fact, they are one of the most sought-after pennies in the entire collecting world. But wait, before you get too excited, not every 1980 penny is worth $1 million, okay? If it doesn't have that blank spot where the mint mark should be, well, it's just a regular penny. So how do you find the rare ones? First off, take a look at the back. If you don't see a mint mark under the E pluribus unum phrase, that's your golden ticket. The reason these pennies are so valuable comes down to a few factors, like minting errors and the rarity of that specific year. Since these 1980 pennies were never supposed to be released without mint marks, any that made it into circulation are like little unicorns in the coin world. Let me tell you a personal story. A few years back, I was going through some old jars of change, just like any normal person who doesn't use cash much. I found a bunch of pennies, and as I was about to toss them back in the jar, I spotted something that caught my eye, a 1980 penny. I thought, hey, let me take a closer look. I wasn't expecting much, but then I noticed it. No mint mark. I almost dropped the penny out of surprise. Now, this wasn't the $1 million coin, but it was still worth way more than the face value. I took that penny to a local coin dealer, and while it wasn't worth $1 million, I did get a pretty sweet return. That experience opened my eyes to how important it is to check your change. You never know what treasures are hidden in those coins that are just sitting in your drawer or pocket. Now, if you think your 1980 penny might have the potential to be a rare no mint mark coin, here's what to do next. In 1980, a mistake was made at the mint, which resulted in a few of these coins being released without mint marks. Since it's such a rare mistake, those coins are incredibly valuable. You might want to take that coin to a certified professional coin dealer or a grading service to get it authenticated. After all, just because you think it's rare doesn't mean it's worth $1 million until it's confirmed. The better the condition of your coin, the more it's worth. A coin that's been sitting in a jar for years may not be in mint condition, but it could still fetch a nice amount depending on how well it's been preserved. How much is this rare 1980 penny really worth? Well, the price can vary a lot, but in some cases, a perfectly preserved example has been sold for over $1 million at auction. Can you imagine finding that in your couch cushions or in a dusty old penny jar? You could walk away with enough to buy a house, or at least a really nice vacation. But don't get too excited just yet. Not every 1980 penny is worth millions. The key is in the condition and rarity, and trust me, if you do have one, you'll know. These coins are so rare that they don't just slip through the cracks unnoticed. But hey, even if your 1980 penny isn't worth $1 million, it could still be worth hundreds or thousands, and that's nothing to sneeze at. Alright, folks, now you know the scoop on the 1980 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny and why it might be sitting in your drawer right now, waiting for you to discover its value. Who knew that a little penny could be worth so much, right? So, if you've got a collection of pennies or old change, take a moment to check them out. You never know when you'll find the next big treasure. If you learned something today and want more tips on coin collecting and finding hidden gems in your pocket change, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. We've got plenty more tips, strategies, and hilarious stories about rare coins to share with you. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. We're talking about one penny that might just make you the richest person in the room. And no, it's not the penny you find under your couch cushions. It's the 1963 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Stick around, because this little coin could be worth millions, and trust me, you won't want to miss how to spot one. So, grab your magnifying glass and let's get into it. Scene transitions to a close-up of a 1963 penny under a magnifying glass. Alright, let's get down to business. The 1963 penny. You probably have a bunch of them, maybe even in a jar somewhere collecting dust. Most of them are worth, well, a penny. But there's one thing that can set a 1963 penny apart from the rest, and it's something so small, you might miss it if you're not paying attention. That's right, I'm talking about the 1963 no mint mark penny. Normally, pennies from that year are stamped with a little D or S to show where they were made, Denver or San Francisco. But this elusive 1963 penny has no mint mark at all. And let me tell you, this penny could be worth way more than its 1 cent value. How much more, you ask? We're talking millions of dollars, folks. Scene transitions to a close-up of the narrator's face. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds too good to be true. And hey, I thought the same thing when I first heard about it. But let me share a little story with you. A few years ago, I was doing what any normal person does on a Saturday afternoon, cleaning out my desk drawer and finding all the random stuff that's been collecting dust. I stumbled upon a jar of coins I had thrown in there over the years. I had a bunch of pennies, some nickels, maybe a few dimes, the usual stuff. But then I found a 1963 penny that didn't have a mint mark. I was like, well, this one's different, but probably not worth much. Cut to the narrator holding the penny and looking unsure. So, I tossed it back into the jar and forgot about it. Fast forward a year later, I'm watching a coin collector video on YouTube and bam, the 1963 no mint mark penny was mentioned. I nearly choked on my coffee when I realized what I had missed. If I had done my research earlier, I could have been holding onto a fortune. Scene transitions to a graphic showing a comparison of a normal 1963 penny versus a 1963 no mint mark penny. So, how does this penny become so valuable? Well, it's all about rarity. The 1963 no mint mark penny is considered an error coin, and these types of mistakes are highly sought after by collectors. But there's a catch. Not every 1963 penny without a mint mark is a mistake. Some are just regular old pennies that somehow escaped the minting process without getting stamped. Cut to a graphic showing how to spot the difference. To make sure you have the real deal, look closely at the year on your penny. If it says 1963 and there's no mint mark under the date, you might just have something worth a lot of cash. But you also want to check the quality of the coin. A penny in mint condition is obviously worth more than one that's been through years of wear and tear. Cut to narrator inspecting coins with a magnifying glass. So, how much could this penny be worth? The value can range from a few $1,000s for one in decent condition to over $1 million for a well-preserved, error-free version. Yep, you heard that right. A single penny, worth millions. I mean, what other coin could turn you into a millionaire for just having the right one? Now, before you go digging through your couch cushions or emptying out every coin jar you've got, remember, the 1963 no mint mark penny is rare, and it's going to take some effort to find one. But if you do, well, let's just say you could be looking at a serious payday. I mean, who knew pennies could be so valuable, right? It's like finding a treasure in your own home. And let me tell you, if I could go back in time and find that penny earlier, I'd be rolling in the dough by now. Alright, if you enjoyed this little coin adventure and want more tips on how to find hidden gems in your pocket change, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, there's a lot more where that came from. I've got all kinds of tricks up my sleeve to help you find coins worth money that you never even knew existed. So, subscribe, like, and ring the bell for notifications so you never miss a video. We're diving into one of the most mind-blowing coin discoveries ever, the 1968 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. That little copper disc in your pocket might just be worth more than your lunch money. Stay tuned, and you'll learn all about it. You're going through a jar of loose change, maybe some leftover pennies from that McDonald's run, a few stray coins from the couch cushions. Nothing unusual, right? Now, what if I told you one of those pennies could potentially be worth a fortune? Let me introduce you to the 1968 D. Abraham Lincoln penny. This penny is famous for being, well, extraordinary. You see, most 1968 pennies aren't anything special. They were minted in huge quantities, and they're just regular copper. But if you've got one with the D mint mark, that's the mint mark for Denver, it could be hiding a secret that turns it into a treasure trove of cash. But it's just a penny. How could it possibly be worth millions? Well, I'll tell you. The 1968 D penny is considered rare due to some fascinating mistakes that happened in its production. Over the years, there have been reports of some of these pennies being struck with an error or two, making them incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors. These minting errors can involve anything from doubling in the design to rare anomalies in the material used. Some of these pennies have sold for crazy amounts. Think thousands, even millions of dollars. The value of these pennies is based on something called condition. A well-preserved, error-free 1968 D penny can be worth upwards of $50,000. But if you've got one with a major error, like a double die or a misstrike, you're looking at serious money. We're talking up to $1 million for one of these bad boys. Yes, you heard that right, $1 million. Now, I'll be honest, not every 1968 D penny is going to make you a millionaire. It's a bit like finding a needle in a haystack. But if you happen to stumble upon one, that penny could be a game changer. Now, let's take a little trip down memory lane. I remember when I first started collecting coins. I was in high school, and I thought I was the king of the penny jar. One day, I found a 1943 steel penny in my change. My heart raced. I was thinking, I'm about to retire early. It turns out, it was just a regular, worn-out 1943 penny. My dream of becoming a coin mogul was dashed. But hey, that didn't stop me from continuing the hunt. And who knows, maybe one day, I'll come across a 1968 D penny and finally make that big score. But let's be real, even if I don't find that golden coin, the thrill of the chase keeps me going. Not all pennies are created equal. That 1968 D Abraham Lincoln penny might just be the jackpot you didn't know you had. If you find one with the right errors, you could be sitting on a gold mine. If you're diving into the world of coin collecting, pay attention to the details, check for mint marks, and don't be afraid to get a professional to take a look if you think you found something special. And hey, if you found this video helpful and maybe a little bit inspiring, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips on coins that could be worth more than their weight in gold, or copper in this case. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a coin that surprised you. I'd love to hear your stories. Keep hunting, and who knows, the next rare coin might be sitting in your pocket right now. We're diving into a coin that might just have you looking at your spare change in a whole new light, because this little piece of copper might be worth millions. Yep, you heard that right. The 1976 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Stay tuned because this is one wild ride you won't want to miss. So, let's start at the beginning. We all know Abraham Lincoln's face. It's on the penny, right? But do you know that some pennies from 1976, specifically the ones with the D mint mark, are worth a whole lot more than 1 cent? As in, they could be worth millions of dollars, and I'm not talking about the I'm gonna sell this for $10 on eBay kind of million. We're talking serious collector's money. Now, before you run to your wallet to start sifting through your change, let me break it down. Most pennies from 1976 are pretty standard, and if you find one, don't expect to retire tomorrow. But there's this rare variety that was minted with a mistake, a die error that makes it incredibly valuable. Some of these coins have a slight doubling effect on the date or the Liberty engraving. Coin collectors call these double die varieties, and they can be worth a fortune. The 1976 D penny with this error is one of the rarest. Why? Well, it turns out that the mistake wasn't just one or two pennies. Thousands, maybe even more, were struck with this error, but most of them were eventually pulled from circulation. The ones that made it through, though, they've got some serious value. In fact, these pennies have been known to fetch anywhere from several $100s to even upwards of $1 million in some cases. How do I know if I've got one of these pennies? Great question. It's all about the details. The doubling is usually pretty noticeable, especially around the date or the word Liberty on the front. But don't just trust your eyes. Get your hands on a magnifying glass or a loupe. That's a fancy word for a coin magnifier, by the way. You'll want to look closely at the mint mark, the date, and the lettering to see if any doubling stands out. I remember when I first heard about coins like these. I was going through my old coin jar one day, just casually sifting through it, looking for nothing special. But then, I pulled out a 1976 penny that looked a little off. The date looked funny, and the lettering was weirdly bold. I wasn't sure if I had just been staring at pennies too long, or if I was onto something. So, I did what any coin enthusiast would do. I Googled it. And guess what? My 1976 D penny was one of those rare error coins. I freaked out, ran straight to a coin dealer to get it checked, and let me tell you, I almost had a heart attack when I heard how much it was worth. Unfortunately, it didn't fetch me $1 million, but it was still worth more than my lunch that day. So, what's the takeaway here? That humble penny in your pocket? It could actually be worth a lot more than you think. But finding one of these rare 1976 D Mint Mark error pennies requires a sharp eye and a little bit of luck. So, if you're out there checking your spare change, make sure you take a second look at those pennies. You never know, the next coin you pick up might just make you a fortune. And if you love discovering hidden treasures like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got a ton more coin tips, strategies, and hidden gems to share with you. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Hit that bell notification so you'll always be in the loop, and you'll never miss an opportunity to turn your pocket change into something worth a lot more. Have you ever been digging through your spare change and thought, I wonder if any of these coins are worth something big? Well, today we're diving into a coin that's so valuable, it might just make you rethink every penny you've ever thrown into the jar. I'm talking about the 1979 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and guess what? It could be worth millions. Yes, you heard that right. Millions of dollars for a single penny. So, stick around to find out what makes this coin so special, why it's worth so much, and how you can turn your pocket change into a treasure chest. But first, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future tips and tricks to turn your coin collection into a gold mine. Alright, so let's break this down. We're all familiar with pennies, right? The little copper coins that seem to pop up everywhere, from the bottom of your purse to the back seat of your car. But believe it or not, some of these seemingly insignificant pennies have a secret life. They're worth way more than their face value. And the 1979 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny is one of those sneaky coins. So, what makes the 1979 D penny so special? It all comes down to something called error coins. These are coins that were minted incorrectly, and when they're rare enough, they can be worth a lot of money. The 1979 D penny, for example, is known for having a unique wide AM error. The letters A and M in America on the reverse side of the coin were spaced farther apart than usual. This was a mistake during the minting process, and let me tell you, collectors are obsessed with these rare errors. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so some of these coins are worth a lot of money. But how do I know if I have one of these fancy 1979 D pennies? Well, here's the good news. You don't have to be a professional coin grader to spot the difference. It's actually pretty easy if you know what to look for. Take a good look at the back of the penny, specifically at the letters A and M in America. If you see that there's a noticeable gap between them, you've got a real treasure on your hands. The normal 1979 D pennies don't have this wide spacing. They're closer together. But the error coin has a gap, and that makes it worth a whole lot more. Now, how much are we talking about here? Well, it depends on the condition of the coin, but in some cases, these 1979 D wide AM pennies can sell for anywhere from a few $100s to, wait for it, over $1 million. That's right, folks. A single penny, worth millions. So, if you happen to find one in your change jar or while you're hunting through rolls of pennies, you could be holding on to a real gold mine. Let me tell you a quick story. A couple of years ago, I was going through a box of old coins I inherited from my grandfather. It was just a bunch of random coins, nothing special, or so I thought. I pulled out a few pennies to sort through them, and just for fun, I started looking up their values online. And guess what? I found a 1979 D penny in that box. My heart skipped a beat as I looked closely at the back. Sure enough, there it was, a wide AM error. I could barely believe my eyes. I had almost thrown it away thinking it was just another penny. Long story short, I ended up selling it for a small fortune. The moral of the story? You never know when you might stumble across a coin that could change your life. So, always check your change, and don't be afraid to dig through those old boxes of coins gathering dust. It could pay off big time. So, there you have it. The 1979 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny is definitely one to keep an eye out for. If you spot that wide AM error, you might be holding onto a penny worth a whole lot more than its face value. And hey, even if you don't find one, you'll be a lot more knowledgeable about what makes these coins valuable in the first place. If you found this video helpful and want to learn more about coins that are worth money, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join the coin hunting community. I'll be back with more tips, strategies, and maybe even more stories of coin discoveries that'll make your wallet a little heavier. We're talking about a coin that could be worth way more than you think. You're sipping your coffee, flipping through some old pennies, and you stumble upon a 2006 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny? Worth millions? Nah, that's gotta be a joke. But trust me, stick around, because this little piece of copper could potentially be worth a fortune. And I'm not talking about pocket change either. So grab that magnifying glass, or maybe just squint really hard, because we're diving deep into the wild world of coin values. And this 2060 penny is about to make you rethink everything you thought you knew about pocket change. Let's go. All right, first things first, why are we talking about a 2060 penny of all things? It's not the oldest coin out there, and I'm sure you've seen hundreds of them without even thinking twice. But here's where things get interesting. The 2006 penny is part of a series where, due to a small mistake at the mint, some of these coins were released with very unique characteristics. And when I say unique, I mean rare enough to make collectors pay top dollar. So what's the deal? The 2006 penny is special because of a rare variety that was accidentally produced. You see, there were some 2006 pennies that came with what's known as a double die error. Don't worry if that sounds like a complicated term. I'll break it down. Essentially, what happened is that when the mint was striking the coins, the die that was used to imprint the design on the penny wasn't aligned correctly. This resulted in a doubling effect, where the images, like Abraham Lincoln's face or the lettering, look a little blurry or doubled. This misalignment happens so rarely, and when it does, it makes these pennies incredibly valuable. Now, let me hit you with the million-dollar question. How much is this penny worth? I mean, you're probably wondering if you just made a fortune by finding one of these in your old jar, right? Well, depending on its condition, a 2060 penny with a double die error can be worth anywhere from a few $100s to over $1 million. Yes, you read that right, $1 million. Now, I know what you're thinking. Sure, that sounds cool. But where are these million-dollar pennies hiding? The truth is, these pennies are incredibly rare, but they do pop up every so often in auctions and private sales. Let me tell you, I have a friend who's absolutely obsessed with rare coins. We were hanging out one day, and he casually mentioned how he scored a few coins at a yard sale for like $10. I laughed, thinking he was just another coin nerd trying to sell me his dreams. But then, a few weeks later, he told me he'd flipped one of those coins, a 2006 double die penny, for over $5,000. My jaw dropped. I had to ask him for his yard sale secrets, but of course, he gave me that "you snooze, you lose" look. The point is, these kinds of rare coins can turn up in places you'd least expect, like in your spare change, or even a coin jar at the back of your closet. It's like winning the lottery, but with a lot less scratching and a lot more digging through loose change. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Not every 2006 penny you find is going to make you rich. You've got to look for certain signs, like the double die error I mentioned. If you're lucky enough to find one, the key to knowing its value is condition. The better the condition, the more valuable the coin is. Coins with sharp details and no signs of wear are the ones that get the big bucks. And if you're serious about checking your collection, a magnifying glass is your best friend. Trust me, it's worth the investment. I've personally wasted a lot of time squinting at coins trying to figure out if I had anything valuable. So go ahead, grab that magnifying glass, and start inspecting your pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters. You might just discover a hidden treasure. All right, folks, now you've got the scoop on the 2060 penny and why it could be worth a small fortune. Who knew a simple penny could have such a big impact on your wallet, right? So, before you toss that pocket change into the jar or let it slip through your fingers, take a second to check for those rare coins. You never know, you might just stumble upon a coin worth millions. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of valuable coins and want more tips and tricks on how to find hidden gems in your own collection, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm bringing you all kinds of insider knowledge on coins worth money, strategies to find rare items, and stories that'll keep you entertained while you search through your own coin stash. What if I told you a penny, yes, a penny, could be worth $1 million? No, it's not a typo. And no, this isn't some crazy find a diamond in your soda kind of story. We're talking about a real coin, the 1993 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. You might have one sitting in your drawer right now, and you don't even know it. All right, before you go diving into your piggy bank, let's break it down. So, what's the deal with this 1993 penny? What makes it so special? To start with, most of us are used to seeing the mint mark on coins, right? You know, that little D for Denver or the S for San Francisco. But here's the twist. In 1993, a tiny batch of pennies was minted in Philadelphia without any mint mark at all. It's like the coin was trying to sneak by unnoticed. But guess what? That little oops makes it one of the most valuable pennies out there today. Camera switches to close-up of a typical 1993 penny, showing the lack of a mint mark. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but how much could this penny really be worth? Well, the short answer is a lot. We're talking potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars for one penny, and in some cases, millions. Sounds wild, right? But here's the thing. Because so few of these pennies were made, they're highly sought after by collectors. They're like the rare Pokemon card of the coin world, if you will. Cut to a graphic showing the rarity of the 1993 no mint mark penny with a chart. I can almost hear you saying, but I've got a jar full of pennies at home, and I'm pretty sure none of them are worth that much. I get it. I get it. I was once in your shoes. I had a jar of coins that I just assumed were basically worthless, until one day I decided to take a closer look. And let me tell you, I felt like Indiana Jones discovering treasure when I found a coin worth way more than I thought. Cut to a fun shot of the narrator rummaging through a jar of coins dramatically. Now, I'm not saying you're going to find $1 million penny in your collection, but you might be surprised. Some of these 1993 no mint mark pennies have sold for up to $100,000. Yes, $100,000. That's enough to pay off some student loans, buy a nice car, or heck, even take a dream vacation to, well, anywhere but a coin shop. So, what determines the value of these pennies? It all comes down to their condition. A penny in pristine condition could easily fetch six figures, while a more worn-out penny might still bring in a few thousand. But hey, even a couple thousand for a tiny piece of copper? That's a win in my book. Cut to a shot of a good condition penny versus a mint condition penny side by side. You might be wondering, how do I know if mine's worth something? Well, first off, it's all about checking that mint mark, or rather, the lack of it. If you've got a 1993 penny with no mint mark, that's your first clue. But don't stop there. Get yourself a magnifying glass, because sometimes the condition can be tricky to spot with the naked eye. And if you're still unsure, don't be afraid to consult a professional coin appraiser, especially if you think you've got something truly special. Cut to a short skit where the narrator pretends to take the penny to an appraiser. All right, folks, before you start packing up your pennies and running to the nearest auction house, remember, not every 1993 penny is going to make you a millionaire. But if you do find one, you'll want to make sure it's stored in a safe place. These rare coins have seen some wild bidding wars, and who knows? Maybe yours is the next big find. Camera zooms out with a stack of coins, and upbeat music plays. Now, if you want more tips on how to spot valuable coins, or if you're just curious about the weird and wacky world of coin collecting, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Who knows, the next time you check your change, you might just find a hidden gem worth a lot more than you think. And hey, if you find $1 million penny, don't forget who told you about it.